It is also being told that at 11 a.m. a meeting of the cabinet ministers is about to take place wherein they will mourn the demise of the late Prime Minister. Not just that, both the government of India and Congress has announced a 7-long day mourning in the country. They have cancelled all their official programs. Congress has also cancelled all their Foundation Day related programs. If we talk about the significance of this residence, this particular residence here has been the abode of the late former Prime Minister for 10 years. Remember, he shifted in this residence after his retirement. He shifted right after, in 2014, Prime Minister Modi took his oath as the Prime Minister of India. So this particular residence has played a huge role in the last years of late Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Back to you.
Right, Soumya, stay on with me. I have Harsha also joining me live from outside the former Prime Minister's residence. Harsha, the mortal remains were shifted from AIMS to the residence of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Tell us about what is planned through the day. When will the final rites be held? And have leaders started arriving?
Deepak, it's a very sad day because the country has lost not only the person who was responsible for the economic reform in the country, but also we have seen how several leaders have shared the anecdotes of working with him in the Raj Sabha, in the government, during the PV Narasimha Rao government when he first became the finance minister. So several people have shared the anecdotes that he was one of the reformers, economic reformers who believed that the economic reform and social welfare could go hand in hand together. We still remember the time how the India-US nuclear deal steered through and also came long way, and it was paved the way in our country only because of the efforts which was done by Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister. Right now we are reporting from his residence, and we've got to know that entire day there will be several people, several dignitaries who will be arriving at the residence of former PM to pay the tributes and the condolences at his residence. We have also got to know that the opposition party and both the ruling party leaders will be arriving here. Several state chief ministers are also expected to arrive between 11 to 12 o'clock to pay the tributes, because it's a very sad day, because how we have seen that slowly and gradually the condition of former PM was deteriorating the entire year. We saw several times he was admitted in the AIMS because of the lungs infection issue, and last night at around 8 o'clock he was brought in the emergency department of the AIMS where he was treated. He was given the CPR, but he couldn't be revived. The AIMS bulletin clearly said that it was because of the breathlessness issue that he passed away at around 9:51 p.m. The family and the others also wrote that how from longer time he was suffering from the lungs infection issue. But yes, yesterday we saw Priyanka Gandhi Vadra visiting AIMS, also Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge, Priyank Kharge and other leaders from the Congress, DK Shiv Kumar, all left CWC meeting, the Belgavi CWC meeting which was supposed to commence today. That was left by Congress party, Congress leaders, Congress senior leaders in between. They all left the meeting and headed towards national capital. We are getting to know between 11 to 12 o'clock, Deepak, there will be lot of movement here at the residence of former PM Manmohan Singh. Also, we have gotten to know that the last rites will not be taking place today. It will be taking place tomorrow. But there's much more to share about the former PM Manmohan Singh, Deepak, because we can't forget that how, being the Raj Sabha MP for 6th term, he is the Prime Minister who had his full term and also the second term after Jawaharlal Nehru. And yes, we can say that after 2009, the things changed in his tenure. There was a lot which was being said between 2009 to 2014, but we can't forget what he did for our country, the reforms he brought, and also how he made entire buffet to the people of the country. He showcased how the middle class could be revitalized, how the opportunities could be created, and how the way could be open for the poor people as well. We have seen jobs being generated during his tenure from 2004 to to 2013. So that was how former PM Manmohan Singh was. He spoke less, but his actions did all. He was called the Prime Minister who could never break from his ilk, and that was his entire personality, which we have seen as well from 2004 to 2014. From till the time he was the Prime Minister, many said that yes, he was not well. He felt bad during 2013 when Rahul Gandhi brought the no ordinance against him. But yes, that's also the time when we have seen that how Rahul Gandhi also apologized to former PM Manmohan Singh. He was the towering personality, a great statesman, which the country will never forget. We always used to talk during our college days as well, Deepak, that how towered is his resume. We used to go through that so much former PM Manmohan Singh has done. He was a philanthropist. He went to Oxford. He read. He studied. During his tenure, he was not only 1970 the first economic trade officer, but he went on becoming the economist of the country. He held the position of RBI governor, the chairman of the UGC Planning Commission. So much he has done for the country, and everywhere, wherever he was, we have everywhere seen the reforms. That was the stature of former PM Manmohan Singh. And yes, it's a great loss for our country as we lost not only the architect of the economic reforms, but also a great human being, a politician who spoke less but did much, and a humble person was always given not only to the ruling party, not only to the opposition, but to the ruling party as well. He shared great bond with late Sushma Swaraj, with late Arun Jaitley ji, and also several leaders. In fact, the anecdotes of Prime Minister and Manmohan Singh is still spoken of. And also, Deepak, if you remember, last year in the Parliament, there was the motion, there was a voting which had to be done for a bill, and how Manmohan Singh was brought in the Raj Sabha for a full gathering and the full number of the leaders who had to be present in the Raj Sabha. The voting took place and he was in the wheelchair, but he was in the Parliament at that time as well. That's the kind of leader former PM Manmohan Singh was. Back to you.
Right, Harsha and Soumya, stay on with me because we have some reactions also coming in from the Congress party. The Grand Old Party has recounted their moments with the former Prime Minister, who they regarded as being very soft and gentle. Listen into some reactions coming in.
Well, you know, I have very many memories of Dr. Manmohan Singh. I was 32 years old when Dr. Manmohan Singh called me to his office in the Planning Commission, Yojana Bhavan, in September of 1986 and offered me a job. I was then in the Ministry of Industry and he wanted me to join the Planning Commission along with two other economic advisors, Rakesh Mohan and Arvind Virmani. So at the age of 32, I got this senior position in the Planning Commission thanks to Dr. Manmohan Singh. I worked with him in the Planning Commission and then I worked with him when he was Finance Minister. Then I worked with him when he was out of power in the Congress Party. Then I worked with him when he was Prime Minister. So for 36 years, you know, I've worked with him very, very closely, very intimately, very many memories of our association. Well, what can I say? He led a full life. It was a full life, extremely full life, and it was an extraordinarily distinguished life. Chief Economic Advisor, Chief Economic Advisor, Finance Secretary, Member Secretary Planning Commission, Governor Reserve Bank of India, Deputy Chairman Planning Commission, Finance Minister, Prime Minister. I can't think of anybody in India who's had all these posts and filled them with the greatest of distinction. His finance ministership was transformative. He transformed the Indian economy. He was the technocratic master. P.V. Narasimha Rao, of course, was the political master. But Dr. Manmohan Singh was a technocratic sutradhar of the 1991 economic reforms, which transformed Indian trade, transformed Indian industry, and made India the global power that it has become today.
Today, all of you know that we have lost our great leader, the former Prime Minister, the former ACC President, economist, who have been served this country, gave a lot of strength, into all sections of the society is no more.
Huge loss for India. Dr. Manmohan Singh was a reformer who reformed India's economic story as finance minister, as the opposition leader, as well as the Prime Minister of India. He has always thought for India's progress, and he served Mother India well. We will all miss Dr. Saab. Dr. Saab stood for India, served the crores of middle class.
में रिजर्व बैंक के गवर्नर के रूप में, भारत के आर्थिक सलाहकार के रूप में, और इसके बाद 10 साल तक भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में मैं उनके अंडर में देश का योजना मंत्री था। तो अक्सर मैं, क्योंकि योजना विभाग का प्रधानमंत्री जो है उनके कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर होते हैं, तो उनके साथ मुझे बहुत काम करने का मौका मिला, बहुत उनके साथ बैठने का, उनके साथ चर्चा करने का। राजनीति में ईमानदारी क्या होती कोई उनसे सीखे। मैंने उनसे जैसा ईमानदार व्यक्ति नहीं देखा। छोटी छोटी चीज पे भी वो जो है बहुत सावधानी बरतते, मतलब यहाँ तक कि सरकारी खर्चे को भी नहीं करने देते थे कि ज्यादा हो। बहुत ही जो है सादगी से रहते थे, कभी किसी की आलोचना नहीं करना, कभी किसी की बुराई नहीं करना। और उन्होंने कहा भी था कि इतिहास हमको याद करेगा। बहुत लोग बहुत बहुत बातें करते हैं, लेकिन इतिहास हमको याद करेगा कि जो है किस तरह हमने क्या काम किया, इसका योगदान लोग बाद में याद करेंगे। सचमुच डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह के योगदान को हम भुला नहीं सकते।
Nobody can forget the great contribution of Dr. Manmohan Singh. The 10 years, his 10 years tenure has converted India into a mighty economic power in the world. And and also he had given lot of contribution to the
नक्शा ही बदल गया। आज उनके क्रिटिक भी उनकी तारीफ करते हैं। हम दोनों को इकट्ठे काम करने का मौका एज कुलीग भी मिला 91 से 96 तक। नरसिम्हा राव जी की गवर्नमेंट में हम दोनों कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर थे, वो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर थे, मैं सिविल एविएशन टूरिज्म और पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर था। तो बहुत ही अच्छे रिश्ते हमारे रहे आपस। मुझे याद है कि 93-94 में एज सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर जब मैं उसको प्राइवेट एयरलाइन को भी अलाउ करना चाहता था, तो मैं उनके पास बैठा और मैंने कहा कि मैं कैबिनेट में प्रपोज़ल ला रहा हूँ ओपन स्काई पॉलिसी, तो आपकी मदद की ज़रूरत चाहिए। तो उन्होंने कहा यही तो मैं चाहता था और आप लाइए, मदद करें। उसके बाद मुझे मौका मिला उनके साथ एज मंत्री के रूप में भी, जब वो प्रधानमंत्री थे 2004 और 2005 में, और फिर मैं चीफ मिनिस्टर गया। और 2009 से लेकर 2014 तक मैं दोबारा उनके अंडर हेल्थ मिनिस्टर रहा। एक नॉन इंटरफेयरिंग प्राइम मिनिस्टर, बहुत ही अच्छे प्राइम मिनिस्टर होकर भी वो एक अच्छे दोस्त भी थे, भाई के तरह भी बिहेव करते थे, बाप की तरह भी बिहेव करते थे, प्राइम मिनिस्टर की तरह भी बिहेव करते थे। उनको कभी भुलाया नहीं जा सकता। अल्लाह से यही दुआ है, भगवान से यही प्रार्थना है कि उनके आत्मा को शांति दे।
Viewers, leaders across the political spectrum also expressed their condolences on the demise of former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Let's listen into some of the other reactions that we are tracking at the moment.
I was made the administrator head of the National Museum. The National Museum had come for heavy criticism for neglect at that time. I was put in charge of that, and after 3 months, the newspapers wrote, the makeover man has come. Then, when I retired, Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister asked me to come back and continue in that position. What I see about him is his humility. He never appeared as the Honorable Prime Minister of India. He was more like a professor always respectful to the others. After my retirement, when somebody wrote a book about me, Dr. Manmohan Singh gave an article in which he described my humble self as an inspired civil servant. I have tremendous respect for him. He was a man who stood apart. He had a soul which is different from others. I respect him, I love him. The entire nation respects him, loves him for his humility, for his achievements, for his greatness.
प्रधानमंत्री पद पर 10 साल जिन्होंने बहुत अच्छा काम किया था वो डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी, इनका आज एम्स अस्पताल में निधन हो गया है। उससे हमें सभी लोगों को बहुत बड़ा दुख भी हुआ है। जरूर राजनीति में अलग अलग पार्टियों के साथ अलायंस होता है, लेकिन भारत में रहने वाले हम सब लोग ऐसे दुख में शामिल होने की हमारी परंपरा है। और डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के साथ मेरे बहुत नजदीक के संबंध थे। जब मैं लोकसभा में रिपब्लिकन पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से चुनकर आया था 2004 में, 2009 में, तो 2004 में माननीय डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी देश के प्रधानमंत्री बने थे और मैं तब यूपीए के साथ था, तो उनके साथ हमेशा मीटिंग में हमारी मुलाकात होती थी। कई बार कुछ काम के लिए भी मैं उनको जाकर मिलता था और बहुत ही अच्छे दिल के वो आदमी थे, बहुत ही सीधे साधे आदमी थे, लेकिन बहुत बड़े अभ्यासु थे, बहुत बड़े अर्थतज्ञ थे। उनका नाम पूरे देश भर में अर्थतंत्र के माध्यम से बहुत बड़ा नाम था। तो अचानक उनका जाना हमारे लिए, सभी लोगों के लिए दुख की बात है। मैं रिपब्लिकन पार्टी ऑफ इंडिया की तरफ से और नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार में सामाजिक न्याय और अधिकारिता राज्य मंत्री के नाते मैं डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी को श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं और कल उनके अंत्यविधि में सम्मिलित होने के लिए, उनके परिवार को मिलने के लिए कल ही मैं मुंबई से दिल्ली जा रहा हूं और उनको हमारे तरफ से पूरी जो हमारी अम्बेडकरी जनता है, दलित जनता है, उनकी तरफ से डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी को मैं हार्दिक आदरांजलि अर्पित करता हूं। नमस्कार, प्रणाम।
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के निधन के बारे में जानकर बहुत गहरा दुख हुआ है। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी इस देश में एक आर्थिक क्रांति लेके आए। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी चाहे आरबीआई के गवर्नर रहे हों, वित्त मंत्री रहे हों या देश के प्रधानमंत्री 10 साल रहे हों, उन्होंने अपने व्यक्तित्व को इस तरह से देश के सामने रखा जैसे वो एक देश के सेवक हों। पाकिस्तान में जन्मे और भारत में आकर अपनी शिक्षा क्रांति के चलते उन्होंने देश की सबसे ऊंची पदवी पर पहुंचे, देश के प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में। मेरे परिवार के साथ बहुत निजी संबंध थे, बहुत प्यार था। ऐसा सम्मान देना, जिस कुर्सी पर वो बैठते थे, उनके सामने छोटे से छोटा इंसान भी जब होता था तो ये महसूस नहीं करता था कि डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी बड़ी कुर्सी पर बैठे। छोटे से छोटा इंसान भी अगर उनके घर पर मिलने जाता था तो उसको गाड़ी तक बिठाकर आने का, ऐसा उनका व्यक्तित्व था, ऐसी उनकी सोच थी। और हमेशा परमात्मा के डर में रहना और देशभक्ति कूट कूट कर भरी हुई थी। हम सबको याद है कि पार्लियामेंट के अंदर जब उनके परिवार के ऊपर दोष लगाया गया और कहा गया कि उनके बेटे ने ऐसे ऐसे गलत काम किए हैं, डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह ने जवाब नहीं दिए। बहुत साल बाद जब मीडिया ने उनसे पूछा तो उन्होंने कहा कोई बात नहीं, दुनिया को अपने आप सच पता चल जाएगा कि मेरा बेटा नहीं है। ऐसी सोच थी डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी की। वो एक इंस्टीट्यूशन से बड़े थे। वो देश के लिए एक ऐसी क्रांति लेकर आए हैं कि पूरा देश हमेशा उन्हें याद रखेगा। और आज हम सब लोग बहुत नम आंखों से, बड़े श्रद्धा भरे भाव से डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी को अलविदा कह रहे हैं।
With that, viewers, it's time for a quick break. On the other side, we'll tell you more about how people in Thailand and Indonesia offered prayers to mark the 20th anniversary of the devastating disaster 20 years ago. Stay tuned.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Сьогодні дуже особливий вечір, святвечір. І це наше третє Різдво у часи війни. Наша велика українська сім'я не може відзначати його повною мірою так, як хотілося б. Так, як це має бути.
The Boxing Day Test match between India and Australia has gotten off to a fiery start. The Border Gavaskar
Thank you for joining us on Republic TV. Let's get you the news summarized with Note Assist using Galaxy AI on Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets US NSA Jake Sullivan, discusses strategic ties with US National Security Advisor. WHO Chief Tedros narrowly escapes aerial bombardment in Sana Airport. UN condemns attack. Russian President Putin hints at another attack on Ukraine, mulls firing new Oreshnik hypersonic ballistic missiles. Former Aussie captain Steve Smith scores a ton at MCG, surpasses Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar, scripts a new milestone of most centuries in Border Gavaskar Trophy. Well, that was the news summarized with Note Assist using Galaxy AI on Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Let's start with our big story of the day. Viewers, Russian President Vladimir Putin is the host of this Eurasian Economic Union Summit, and Russian President met with other bloc members as they discussed ways to strengthen the multilateral ties. Here's the report.
The Eurasian Economic Summit has begun in Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin met global leaders of the Eurasian Economic Union in Leningrad region. During the meeting, leaders discussed deepening cooperation of the Union in upcoming years. President Putin emphasized on how Russia values the multilateral cooperation between Eurasian bloc members.
Россия высоко ценит взаимовыгодное многоплановое сотрудничество с партнерами по Евразес, и мы искренне заинтересованы в активизации совместной работы по всестороннему укреплению нашего интеграционного объединения. Убежден, что все присутствующие коллеги разделяют такой настрой, поэтому рассчитываю, что наше заседание будет продуктивным и по-настоящему деловым.
From January 1st, the presidency of the Union will pass from Armenia to Belarus.
Подходит к завершению период председательства Республики Армения в органах Евразийского экономического союза. Основные приоритеты нашего председательства, как известно, охватывали ключевые направления экономического взаимодействия, создание общих рынков в энергетической сфере, устранение барьеров на внутреннем рынке ЕАЭС, развитие транспортно-логистической инфраструктуры и укрепление международных связей.
The Union was formed in 2014 and the bloc encourages free movement of goods and services amongst its members.
Viewers, Russian President Vladimir Putin once again hinted of another attack on Ukraine. Russia has got new Oreshnik ballistic missiles, which was first used in November 21, strike on the city Dnipro. Here's a full report on what this missile can do and what Putin is now mulling.
After Russia launched a surprise Christmas attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, Russian President Vladimir Putin has vowed to attack Ukraine again. And this time with the new Oreshnik hypersonic ballistic missile. This missile was first used in November 21 strike on the city of Dnipro.
Если нужно будет, мы увидим, что требуется применение более мощного оружия средней дальности, мы, конечно, его используем. Но мы не спешим, у нас ведь это не секрет, да мы не скрываем. И я говорил, у нас пока немного этих систем Орешник. Они у нас есть. И не одна система. Но мы не спешим их применять, потому что это оружие мощное, оно предназначена для решения определенных задач.
During a meeting of Eurasian Economic Union Summit, Putin stated that Russia has added a few more orogenic missiles in the kitty and will not hesitate to use them on Ukraine.
Мы начали серийное производство, сейчас произведем должное количество и нужное нам, разместим что-то на территории Беларуси. Мы действуем системно, но мы не исключаем возможности применения и сегодня, и завтра, если будет такая необходимость.
Putin's statements come after Russia launched massive missiles and barrages of drones which targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure. The attack led to power cuts across the country, including capital city Kiev. Russia called the Christmas Day strike a success. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned Russia's attacks. These attacks came after Putin announced that he is ready to compromise on ending the war with Ukraine. He mentioned that he is open to speak with US President-elect Donald Trump, emphasizing that no preconditions are stated before the talks. Remember, even Donald Trump vowed to end Russia-Ukraine war if he is elected to power. With now just few days left for Trump to take charge of the office, the big question is, will Donald Trump end the 34-month-long Russia-Ukraine war?
Viewers, with back-to-back impeachment bids, South Korea's political landscape has plunged deeper into crisis as the Democratic Party of Korea, which is the main opposition party, has now filed a motion, an impeachment motion on 26th to impeach the acting president and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo. This development follows the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol earlier this month over his brief declaration of the martial law. Take a look.
Deepening the political turbulence in South Korea, the Democratic Party has filed for an impeachment yesterday against the acting president and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo. This comes after Han refused to appoint 3 justices to the Constitutional Court. The court is tasked with a ruling on President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment. The National Assembly had approved the nominees. However, Han states the need for a bipartisan consensus.
야당은 여야 합의 없이 헌법기관 임명이라는 대통령의 고유 권한을 행사하라고 대통령 권한대행을 압박하고 있습니다. 이런 상황이 계속되다가는 자칫 불가피한 비상사태가 벌어지지 않는 한 대통령 권한대행은 대통령의 고유 권한 행사를 자제하고 안정된 국정 운영에만 전념하라는 우리 헌정 질서의 또 다른 기본 원칙마저 훼손될 우려가 있습니다.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik urged Han to appoint the justices as their appointments have already been approved by the ruling and opposition parties. The Speaker further added that Han's calls for bipartisan consent curbs the National Assembly's right to select Constitutional Court justices.
특히 이번 헌법재판관 3인은 여야의 합의로 추천된 분들입니다. 절차에 따른 임명 행위를 두고 여야 합의를 핑계대는 것은 궁색합니다. 옳지도 않습니다. 임명 행위는 애초 여야 논의의 대상이 아닌데도 이를 합의해 달라는 것은 사실상 안 하겠다는 것이고 국회의 헌법재판관 선출권을 침해하는 것입니다.
Following this, Yoon's party said that Yoon is still not formally removed from the office. Therefore, Han should not exercise the presidential authority by appointing the proposed justices. The series of events has led to a significant political instability in South Korea. Further, the impeachment of Han Duck-soo may deepen the already rattled political situation, flustering the economic markets.
Viewers, in 2004, a massive earthquake ripped through the Indian Ocean, which triggered the deadliest tsunami recorded in history of mankind. 20 years later, the pain is still afresh in the memories of the survivors, and people in Thailand and Indonesia offered prayers to mark the 20th anniversary of the devastating disaster. Take a look.
It was 2004, the day after Christmas, when thousands of tourists flocked the beaches of Thailand, Sri Lanka and Indonesia. Shortly, a massive 9.1 magnitude earthquake ripped through the Indian Ocean, which triggered the deadliest tsunami recorded in the history, taking lives of more than 2 lakh people in a matter of hours. 20 years have passed, yet the pain is still fresh in the eyes of the survivors.
Feeling today just make me really sad. and because it's today, I'm just lost everything by 1 minute.
A candlelight vigil was held in the Thai village of Ban Nam Khem to mark the 20th anniversary of the modern history's worst natural disaster. Mourners were seen walking through the Ban Nam Khem memorial holding candles in their hands. They placed the candles at the memorial sign built on the sand. The tsunami claimed lives of 8,000 people in Thailand, with some never even found. Meanwhile, several people gathered in Indonesia's Aceh province to offer their prayers at a mosque.
Adanya tsunami, maka peperangan antara kelompok Gerakan Aceh Merdeka dengan RI jadi damai. Itu satu hikmah.
Sirens rang across the city for 3 minutes to mark the time of the earthquake. Around 1.7 million people were displaced, mostly in the 4 worst affected countries including India, Thailand, Sri Lanka and Indonesia. Hundreds of buildings were destroyed, leaving some communities completely homeless. All the 20 years have passed, but this deadly disaster has left a scar in all 4 nations' history.
Moving on, viewers, the students' protest in Serbia has intensified over the last 1 week, and now students of Bosnia also gathered in solidarity with the Serbian students, asking them to not give up on their fight. And these protests started after a deadly roof collapse which killed 15 people in Serbia, and many have blamed this to the widespread corruption and sloppy work that has been done to the infrastructures.
Hrabrost znači vjerovati u sebe i onog pored sebe. Vjerovati da zajedno možemo graditi velike stvari, da je vaša budućnost vaše zemlje u vašim rukama.
Thousands of students in Bosnia gathered in solidarity with Serbian counterparts.
Nekako ovo je naše bravo za te studente, jer mislim da je prvi korak u rješenju bilo kojih problema zapravo identifikacija pravog načina na koji mi to možemo riješiti. Mi smo primijetili da studenti izlaze na ulice, da protestuju i ovo je zapravo naše, kao što sam rekao, bravo. Ovo je možda temelj za neki niz protesta koji bi se trebali dogoditi u našoj državi, samo da pokažemo da mi znamo da je to pravi način i da se vodimo time, neka ovo bude početak. Ovo je dakle skup podrške, mirni skup, ovo nisu protesti.
Serbian students' protest has intensified over this week. Students are protesting and demanding accountability for a train station roof collapse which killed almost 15 people in the northern city of Novi Sad.
Dakle, mi danima vidimo da se u medijima javljaju predsjednik Republike i predsjednik Vlade Republike Srbije koji nam odgovaraju kako su zahtjevi ispunjeni i kako uopšte oni imaju neko pravo ili kao da je uopšte neko njih pitao da oni nama ispune zahtjeve. Jedini ko je nadležan u državi Srbiji da ispuni naše zahtjeve jeste tužilaštvo. I mi smo se simbolično upravo zbog toga okupili ispred Republičkog javnog tužilaštva gdje smo im saopštili da nismo zadovoljni rezultatima njihovog rada, gdje im poručujemo kako mi mislimo da treba tužilaštvo da radi svoj posao i zbog toga, kažem vam, mi smo ovdje i bit ćemo ovdje dok naši zahtjevi ne budu ispunjeni.
Since then, hundreds of Serbian students are taking to the streets and several Serbian universities have been blockaded for weeks now. They have refused to back down despite government promises of subsidies and compensation. Many in Serbia believe that this collapse was a result of widespread corruption and sloppy work on the building renovation. Students' protests have gained support from professors, farmers and actors. Meanwhile, officials have arrested 13 people over the Novi Sad tragedy. The arrested individuals also included a government minister whose release later fueled public anger and raised questions on the investigation. However, the Serbian government has largely kept mum on this issue and rather have promoted favorable loans for young people to purchase apartments. Amid all the unrest, President Alexander Vučić has been accused of curbing democratic freedoms and has faced mounting criticism.
With that, viewers, it's time for a quick break. On the other side, we'll tell you more about RBI announcing to set up an 8-member committee to develop a framework responsible for ethical enablement of artificial intelligence in the finance sector. More details coming up after a quick break. Stay tuned.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates: IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
The Boxing Day Test match between India and Australia has gotten off to a fiery start. The Border Gavaskar Trophy always produces drama of the highest order. But who would have thought that the former India skipper would get into a heated exchange with the Australian youngster Sam Constas on the opening day of the test? The ongoing India vs Australia series is evenly poised, with both the teams winning 1 match each. And this test match will go a long way in deciding the fate of the series. Virat Kohli has been in the news these days for his tough time with the bat in Australia. The former skipper's bat has stopped doing the talking, and he also finds himself being associated with controversies. Just a few days back, Kohli indulged in a heated argument with an Australian journalist prior to the Melbourne Test match. The Australian media looked at the scuffle as an opportunity to pounce on Virat Kohli, saying that this might be Kohli's last tour to Australia as a player in the Indian cricket team. Aussie media said it is high time for Kohli to score runs and help his team win matches. And now the ICC has fined Virat Kohli 20% of his match fees for shoulder-charging Australian youngster Sam Constas during the opening day of the Melbourne Test match. Kohli has also been handed 1 demerit point. The brief showdown took place after the completion of the 10th over of the Australian innings on the opening day of the 4th Test, when the players were crossing over. Kohli and Constas bumped shoulders while moving across the pitch. Both players quickly turned around to glance at each other and engaged in a heated exchange of words, with Constas' teammate Usman Khwaja stepping in to separate them and calm down. The on-field umpires also had a word with the two players. Speaking to reporters after stumps, Constas said that Kohli bumped into him and it was not deliberate.
Artificial intelligence has changed the way we do things, and so much more is in the offing.
Republic is proud to announce a game-changing partnership with Samsung. Because with Samsung, Galaxy AI is here.
From our news anchors to reporters to network staff, we will be using Samsung devices, Galaxy Z series and Galaxy S series, powered by Galaxy AI, every day behind the scenes to bring you the news.
Faster, simpler, with more productivity, efficiency and creativity.
Republic and Samsung together unfold a new world of possibilities. It's going to be an epic adventure together.
The Reserve Bank of India announced the setting up of an 8-member committee to develop a framework responsible for ethical enablement of artificial intelligence in the finance sector. The panel will assess the current level of adoption of AI in financial services in India as well as globally too. It will also review regulatory and supervisory approaches on AI with focus on the financial sector. The committee will also be responsible to identify potential risks associated with AI and recommend an evaluation, mitigation and monitoring framework for financial institutions, including banks and more. The committee will recommend a framework including governance aspects for responsible ethical adoption of AI models and application in the Indian financial sector. As per a report by the Finance Ministry, India's economic outlook for financial year 2026 is clouded by growing uncertainties. The report mentioned that the economy is expected to pick up pace in the second half of the financial year. It also highlights that global trade growth is increasingly uncertain, with elevated stock markets and a strong US dollar continuing to exert pressure on emerging market currencies. It's time for us to slip into a very short break, but on the other side, we'll tell you more about the Kohli-Constas face-off with now Virat Kohli being penalized by the ICC. Stay tuned for more details.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Ama öyle sınavlısı durmak olmaz.
Allahu Ekber. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
Hamı sakit olsun.
Allahu Ekber Allahu Ekber
Kabağı 20 nefer gelsin.
Allahu Ekber Что, женщина, можно встать? Сейчас. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
Hamı sakit olsun.
Allahu Ekber Allahu Ekber
Kabağı 20 nefer gelsin. Ama öyle sınavlısı durmak olmaz.
Allahu Ekber Allahu Ekber
Hamı kemerlerini bağlasın.
Kuladı.
Ama öyle sınavlısı durmak olmaz.
Allahu Ekber أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله Что, женщина, можно встать?